This question comes from Ray Wilson, who asked, what if a modern tank fought in World War I? Imagine this. An Abrams drives onto the Somme in 1916. What breaks first, the tank or the war? Let's find out. A modern main battle tank is a rolling fortress. 60 to 70 tons. A 120mm gun that can punch hundreds of millimeters of steel. Night vision, radios, fire control computers. It can sprint on a road and smash a pillbox at range. It is built to survive hits that would have ended earlier armored vehicles. By contrast, World War I tanks were awkward cousins. The British Mark I weighed around 28 tons. Armor a few millimeters thick. Top speed, walking pace. Designed to crawl over trenches and barbed wire, not to sprint. They were revolutionary for their era, but fragile and slow by modern standards. On paper, the modern tank stomps. Its main gun would shred period armor and concrete bunkers. Machine guns and rifles that cut down men on the wire would glance off its frontal protection. A modern round eats World War I plating for breakfast. But wars aren't paper. The Western Front was mud, and mud is a machine's enemy. Shell craters, waterlogged fields, and high groundwater made huge swathes of the Somme, basically a suction trap. Even modern tanks can be immobilized in extreme soft ground. An Abrams without firm ground is a very expensive lawn ornament. Artillery was king in 1916. Most casualties came from shells. World War I, shells could shred crews in the open and wreck unarmored wagons. Could they reliably kill a modern tank? A direct hit from a heavy explosive round could wreck tracks, optics, and external gear. Composite armor resists penetration better than 1916 steel, but repeated near misses and fragmentation can blind, jam, and degrade systems. Mobility kills a tank faster than a single lucky round in many cases. Logistics are the plot twist. Modern tanks drink fuel and require spare parts, diagnostics, and recovery vehicles. An Abrams eats hundreds of liters of fuel for a day of maneuvering and needs specialized crews for repairs. World War I, supply lines were impressive for their time horses, trains, and trucks moving shells and rations, but they were not set up to refuel and rebuild 21st century electronics and gas turbines in the field. Without a modern logistics tail, the tank's advantage evaporates as the fuel gauge hits empty and the maintenance lights come on. Tactics matter. The Western Front had layers of trenches, barbed wire, bunkers, and pre-planned artillery barrages. One tank can smash a trench or silence a machine gun nest, but it needs infantry to clear and hold ground, engineers to repair routes, and recovery teams when it breaks. If commanders try to use the tank as a solo Wunderwaffe, the defenders will concentrate artillery where it goes. In 1916, massed guns could hammer a zone for hours. Pre-radio targeting was cruder, but spotters and barrages were lethal when aimed at a location repeatedly. The environment also brings new dangers. Narrow trench approaches and churned roads are perfect places for the tank to get funneled and disabled. Guns hidden in shell holes, engineers with satchel charges, and storms of shrapnel can immobilize tracks. Close assaults by specially equipped infantry operating in the muck could damage crew hatches and sensors. Modern tanks are strong at range, they are less comfortable in a muddy, close-quarters trap. There's another practical problem: the tank's size and noise. It's huge, it's loud, and it draws eyes. That's great for morale if you're on the friendly side. It's also a prime target. Massed artillery and indirect fire concentrate on conspicuous metal. If an opposing general sees an armored elephant, they will throw shells at where it was 5 minutes ago and hope for the best. But don't overdo the doom. In specific engagements, the tank would be a force multiplier. It could smash through barbed wire, level pillboxes from standoff range, and keep assault troops safer. Its night vision and radios would let it coordinate attacks in ways 1916 armies couldn't imagine. A single modern tank could radically shorten a local objective and save lives in a localized attack. The realistic outcome? Short-term, spectacular. The tank would be a terrifying, dominant presence in a handful of fights. It would punch through fortifications that World War I engineers weeks to reduce. It would become a headline, a legend, and probably the subject of 1,000 war artists' dramatic sketches. Medium-term, fragile. The Somme will find ways to punish it. Mud, mechanical wear, broken roads, ammo shortages, and targeted artillery would accumulate. Without spare parts and fuel flowing like modern supply chains, the tank degrades quickly. Crews get cold, exhausted, and then pragmatic. When repair takes hours and fuel is gone, soldiers abandon shiny metal. Long-term, the war doesn't lose because a single tank exists. Wars are logistics, doctrine, and numbers. The modern tank, without an army of modern supply and engineering support, is a one-day wonder. It wins the battle, not the campaign. To change the war, you need a dozen tanks, recovery vehicles, bridge layers, fuel columns, and radios, effectively importing 21st century logistics into 1916. There's also the human side. An armored vehicle that makes fighting somewhat safer could change tactics. Commanders might be bolder in local attacks. That could save lives if used carefully. It could also escalate countermeasures, more artillery, more mines, more coordinated defenses, which in turn break the tank's advantage. If you were packing for time travel, bring engineers and a fuel tanker. Bring spare treads, a pontoon bridge kit, and a radio operator who can jury-rig signals. Give the tank infantry to clear trenches and protect close flanks. In that package, the tank becomes lethal, sustainable, and a game-changer. Without it, it's a very impressive one-day museum exhibit. Bottom line, drop an Abrams onto the Somme and you get a superhero for a while. It will terrify trenches, smash emplacements, and headline the newspapers. But the Somme eats machines that can't drink. Mobility, logistics, and time will chew up the advantage. The modern tank wins the spotlight. The calendar wins the war. Please keep sending us your amazing questions. We are collecting them and will answer more of them in the future.